Thank you, Steve. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Let's get a bit further down there. So, you know, housing is at a premium now across the country, nationally across the country. I've been talking to people with 2 adults, 3 children in 2-bedroomed houses, 7 people in a 2-bedroom tourist house, no front garden, and only a little tiny back garden. As I've explained many a times about Oldham, it's a mill town, and there's a lot of streets with houses on that don't have front gardens. The streets open to the path, then the road, and they only have small back gardens. So these, good evening, Peter. So these houses are no good for families. They're no good for families. And that's in Oldham. Other parts of Manchester, no doubt across the country in different areas where there is old style 100-year-old tourist houses from the mill days. Yorkshire, Halifax, Huddersfield. Obviously, we've got tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of homeless people, veterans, normal people, people with mental health issues, bit down on luck people, all sorts of issues. But Oldham, what are Oldham doing about it? What are Oldham doing about housing? Well, I've got here the Labour candidates leaflet from St Mary's over the recent election. Salama Ali Akil. I'm the Labour candidate for St Mary's ward in the local elections in May. It has been an honour to represent St Mary's in Oldham for 18 years. By listening to residents and being actively involved in our community, I have learned so much about our area and been able to deliver for the residents of St Mary's. I am chairman of the Central District Partnership, which includes Alexandra Calder's St Mary's wards. I am also a member of the Audit Committee and Health Scrutiny Committee. In the face of Tory austerity attacking our vital public services and seeking to divide our communities with populist politics, St Mary's needs a strong, experienced voice. I am committed to the area and will continue to stand up for residents. Now, I know the people of St Mary's. I lived there all my life, a large part of my life. Just sort me lighting out and that. I've lived there on it. So, St Mary's is one of the most poverty areas in the United Kingdom, by the way. So, again, for 18 years, this guy has been in and out of the council position, and his area's gone from, well, I wouldn't say it was all right, but it's gone to one of the worst poverty areas in the United Kingdom. The same with Caldas under Abdul Jabbar. I've already pointed out 26 years to make the third poorest ward in the United Kingdom. Third poorest is Caldas. It's also full of women don't work, women stay at home, women don't have any responsibility. It'd be very surprising if, take for instance, a Bangladeshi woman stands up to be councillor. I think 1 or 2 might have done in the past, but the men in that area they don't like that. So women don't normally stand up there, and if they do, that they're under pressure and stuff like that. So now also it says the building homes in St Mary's down at the old train track, the old train station, Oldham train station. That's where the building houses. Now, just bear with me a sec. Thank you, Peter. Big respect to you, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So this is the entrance to the Old Mumps train station. On your right, you've got Marshall Pumps, the Christendom Hall Church, the old probation office, and running up across, that's Oldham Bypass there, Oldham Bypass. And going across that, you've got Waterloo Street with a bridge further up, past that lorry, further up there. At the background there, I think you can see the library. That's there. And this is where, on the left, is where the old train station used to be. Then when they made the tram lines, they made the tram go through here, while they built the tram lines down at the centre of Union Street, just behind the buildings on the right there. And then when they'd finished doing that, they transferred and made the tram go back. If we go to the train station, if we go upwards, so you're going towards Werneth, your next stop was Werneth from the old train station. And to get to Werneth, you had to go through the old tunnel, which was, I think, I can't remember if it was 9/10 of a mile or something like that. It might have been, I think it was over a mile. She was a mile and a half, the old tunnel. Then to Werneth, which is now freehold tram stop. But the building houses here, the building about 120 homes in this area. Now, at the back of the area, I'll show you at the back. Now, that's looking towards the back of that area I showed you on the right. And that's looking directly across. The building you can see there is a little industrial estate at the top end corner of Gloddick, and get up to it through Green Gate Street. So, yeah, there would be good access to get houses in here. I'm guessing if the houses have back gardens, they will be the houses will be have the backs against the motorway, the main runoff and the junction, the Mumps Junction. They shouldn't have no problems with noise if they've got a barrier, and there is already a barrier of trees. As you can see, just there on the left, there's some trees, a barrier of trees, and there was behind me as well. So sound, I don't think would be a problem. There we go. Sound, I don't think would be a problem. That's looking towards Lees Road, Gloddick Road. The post office is probably that way, but to your right, the sorting depot. The bridge in the middle there used to be a bridge just on the right, across the motorway, and that little bridge was a train bridge. A train went under there. And I know that bridge well, because when we used to go to Sunday school at the Green Gate Street Club, that's the way we travelled through town, over these two bridges, across that bridge to the top of Green Gate Street, where we'd do our Sunday school. My dad's club was there, many nights out, taking my dad up, all sorts of things at the West Indian Club. It's the way we used to go. But yeah, so they're developing it into houses. Now, if you know the area well, that's what's directly behind you on the left, which is one of Oldham's premier mosques, just a bit off the top of Green Gate Street. This is the one where one of the spires fell off. And the spire weren't like made of brickwork. If it had made of proper brickwork, it wouldn't have fell off. The spire fell off, and it's just a big spire on the floor. So it must have been made of frame and cardboard or something. And I would say it looks out over the town centre, that. It looks out over the town centre. I don't know which way is east, but it looks out over the town centre. But that's directly behind you. Right now, the housing list was changed in Oldham. So where you had points for this, points for that, they still got that. But 80% of the list now is prioritised for overcrowding and poverty. And unfortunately, that where they're building these houses is one of the biggest areas. Again, St Mary's is one of the biggest areas in the top 10 of the country of poverty and overcrowding. So, you know, they are building houses, but that'll probably link up to just one particular side of the community. I'm just saying. We can keep. I can keep an eye on this when them houses are built, just see who goes in them. But you know, I mean, on paperwork, that's the right thing to do. But that's always the thing they do in Oldham. They'll concentrate on just certain communities and leave everyone else just to fend for themselves, and they have done for years. So that's St Mary's. Now, this house, these two houses here are in the Coldest area. This road is a barrier between Coldest and St Mary's ward. That road, and that's Henshaw Street. The flats at the back on the left-hand side is Anchor Street block. I forget the name of the one on the right, but there's two, three-bedroomed tourist houses there. They've got gardens at the back and they've got that bit at the front. It's now been turned into the Al Falal Academy. And I did mention in an interview with a candidate from Coldest, why have they made them two houses into a religious school when we're short on housing? And there's nothing wrong with them houses. Perfectly good, three-bedroomed, semi-detached houses. On the video that I did, I walked into this car park on the left and I was doing a live, and a lad who lives on that block has come out and said, Big John, how come they're turning out when we're short on houses and housing, are they making three-bedroomed tourist houses into Islamic schools? I have no faith in any of these faith schools. I've talked about this before. They're almost all exclusively badly run and only run to serve the religious community of that community. Obviously, and with that comes not teaching English properly, not teaching any kind of British values or anything. The kids will come out with no skills, probably go to antisocial behaviour and then work up to violent crime. And it's just not good enough. And if I had control of the council, there wouldn't be anything like that. And this isn't the only incidents. I haven't finished yet. This is not the only incident, right? So how do I know about them two houses? Because I've lived in the one on the right. Right, I've lived in the one on the right. So that's why I know. This is my area. This is where I've spent 30 years of my life. My nephews or my friends' kids, my godchildren. This is the area where we grew up. So there's nothing wrong with them two houses. Nothing at all. I'm just looking at the chat. I hope everybody got that. Good evening, Summertime Sue. The Roach, good evening, sir. Get sharing. Thank you. The Facebook user, it's saying, shared you on all. Pictures of Brit. Thank you, pal. Thank you. Chris, maybe. There's another one, Facebook user. How you doing? I'm good, thank you. I don't know who you are. You'll have to click onto the thingy. Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much, mate. As again, well done to you as well, standing up and running in the by-election in the South End. It's what we need more of, mate. We absolutely need more of that. So I'm showing you the hypocrisy of Labour in Oldham. Labour in Oldham, who really only pander to communities, even though we're short on housing. I showed you that. Housing that's turned into a religious school that won't teach the kids English properly. They'll come out of them schools with not learning enough. I've showed that happens to Oldham schools. I've showed you 2 schools where it's happened to just in the recent past 5 years. Clarksfield Primary and Iqbal Secondary School in Glodwick. Absolutely piss poor teaching. No British values taught or anything like that. And we wonder why so many people are against us and attack us. Not saying it's all Pakistanis. It's not. There's quite a lot of British Pakistanis who will agree with a lot of the stuff I'm saying. But if we continue to let them to do these things with our schools, then it's just going to have a knock-on effect that's going to affect everybody in that community. Like I said, with no skills, how do these kids get a job? With no skills and no teaching, how do they interact in social life and stuff like that? They're not going to. And you know, if we went to another country, we have to assimilate and integrate to get on in that country. If you're living there for a long time, everyone has to do it. If you go and live in Japan, you've got to change the way you live. If you go and live in China, you've got to change the way you live. But when you come to England, you can just be whatever you want to be, and you don't have to be British or English. You don't respect our laws. You complain about everything all the time. And I mean, I'm not Pakistani or Muslim bashing. This is a Labour council who's done all this over 50 years. The Richer Report goes back 30 years in this kind of stuff. And it's been over 20 years since the Richer Report. So 50 years of evidence we have, and you're still not doing the right things. You're still not, communities are still not integrating, and it's no good. And again, the knock-on effect is all sorts of things. But we're not going to just keep on that. Saddleworth in Oldham, the posh end. All right, the upper class Saddleworth, the posh area. They're building a new. The old school in Saddleworth got knocked down, and they built it somewhere else. Now they're going to build houses on that site, and everyone in Saddleworth has been complaining, and so they should. If you've been up Saddleworth, you know it's country lanes, small roads. There isn't main bypasses like you have in Oldham coming off major junctions of motorways. There is a few miles outside of the area, but and a lot of the access is limited and stuff like that. If you've ever been up to Upper Mill, when there's a festival on or something like that, you can't walk. The roads have to be closed, you know, and stuff like that. And yeah, I understand all that, but why aren't you stopping the immigration to Oldham then? You in Saddleworth. That's why you have to build houses. One of the reasons we have to build houses is high immigration rates. I've talked about Eastern Europeans, Romanians, Polish. Some of the highest numbers in the country come to Manchester, Oldham. You don't say anything against that, you lot up Saddleworth. You still vote Labour or Conservative, and you're all up for immigration. But now the town centre's full and they have to build houses in the villages, you're getting worried. And so you should do. But you lot are the ones who persist and you want this immigration, you want everyone to come here, you want all the Ukrainians to come here. You don't complain about the dingy divers. You're all putting your hands up because they're going to Rwanda. No one's gone to Rwanda. They're still here. They're still here. And it's not like if tomorrow 1,000 people come, they won't send 1,000 people to Rwanda. They'll only send up 20 or 30 or something. The rest will still be here. So you lot in Saddleworth, actually all the other political parties in Oldham, the blindingly obvious thing, and none of you will say it. None of you will say it. But I'm all for them 200 houses or whatever being built in Saddleworth, me, because there is no room in the centre of Oldham. I've showed you that. It's all crammed up here already. So we have to move out into the town. So we'll go for that. And if any of you complain, just remember you're all right with immigration. Deborah Abrams wants everyone here, so we'll vote for Debbie. We don't care. We live in Saddleworth. You're getting 200 new houses, morphos. That's what you're getting. Getting 200 new houses. And I'm all up for it, me. Even though I know the knock-on effects, I'm all up for it. Maybe it'll just teach you all a lesson. Should be voting for the National Housing Party, United Kingdom, where a spade is a spade, not a fork. And we say it honestly and factually. If anybody would like to see any of them details or anything, I've put them up many times, done videos on all these schools and stuff like that. Just look back through my videos, or I'll put some of them out. Not putting any links up just yet. But yeah, so 200 houses going in Saddleworth. People don't want them there. They're going in Saddleworth. There's no more room in the town centre. It's high poverty area here. It's about time the rest of Oldham got their share. So we're going to put houses in Saddleworth. If you don't want them, stop. Vote National Housing Party, United Kingdom, to stop immigration. Just a thought. Just a thought. It's a common sense thing, not making anything up. Summertime, Sue. Yeah, exactly. So what do you think, Sue? Do you want the houses there? And there is going to be a lot of trouble with access, this, that, and the other, services and stuff like that. They might end up putting more buses up there and stuff. So what do you think, Summertime, Sue? What do you think? Come on, Sue. Come on. What do you think? Is it a yeah or no for the houses? And if it's a no, why? And if it's a yeah, why? Come on, Sue. Come on. So, yeah. So, 200 houses, Knowles Lane. Sometimes Sue saying, I think that's right. I think I've seen that. But I know they are doing 200 houses. Paul Bootsarek has talked about it. And, yeah, it's going to be... The ward is quite narrow, like I said, yeah, on the... And it's a nightmare when school's in. But we do need the houses. Certainly. Certainly. So... Evening, Sarah. Sarah, will you email me, please, Sarah? Come on, I'll put my email up. Please email me. Or actually, I'll type in my phone number and give me a ring and let's swap phone numbers. There it is, Sarah. Please text me or give me a ring a bit later on and we'll have a chat. So, yeah, so Summertime Sue there. So we're getting it right from right now on my show, on the National Housing Party UK TV, right now, Summertime Sue is telling us a story. 200 houses being built on Knowles Lane. We talked about this is outside the like outer edges of Oldham. The road's quite narrow on there, and it's a nightmare when school's in. But we do need the houses. she's right. We do need the houses. We do need the houses. Obviously, there's not only the Pakistani and the Bangladeshi community that need houses in Oldham. The rest of Oldham need houses. The white population of Oldham needs houses. The West Indian descent population need houses. That already Romanians or Polish who are here already need houses. Every of the 85 different ethnicities there is in it, we all need houses. So it's coming. Now, I don't know who they're going to put in the Saddleworth houses. I'm just showing you that the houses I showed you earlier, I'm particularly thinking a certain demographic will get them before everyone else because of the poverty in the area, which I mentioned. So, yeah, firing on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders. So Sue's telling us now the script. She lives in the area where this is going on. She lives there. If Labour didn't stop luring opportunity illegals over and try and cheat elections, then there wouldn't be housing shit. You're right, mate. You're right. You're right. I put some of that right into it. Yeah, I agree. So Saddleworth houses in Saddleworth. I mean, but you know, there's a couple of incidents I thought, well, let's get back down to more that's going on. Let's get that back down to a bit more that's going on. Oldham's Mosque Community Centre plan approved despite objections. An Oldham Mosque plan to turn 2 residential addresses into a multifunction community centre has been approved. The scheme will see 2527 Ronald Street, Clarksfield extended at the back and undergo renovation and refurbishment. The application was submitted by Bilal Jamia Mosque, which is based next door to the 2 addresses and owns them. The original plan was so hang on now. A mosque owns 2 houses. You know what we're doing? What we're doing in Oldham? What we're doing in Oldham? People need housing. Now I'm going to go further on this. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to knock on the doors and ask people what they think. That's what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks. I finished with my election. I wanted to do this during the election, actually. In fact, no, concentrate on the election because I were angry. And I wanted to know what other people felt. So there's a trip up there coming. I'll knock on doors, and if I can interview anyone, I will do. So that'll be coming up, that. The original plan, the mosque would purchase a property across the street just like that. I wonder where these people, where did he get all the money from? Where did he get all the money from? There's loads of different reasons that they rip money off. And just unbelievable. So another religious thing that's not even Christian being built, 2 houses that will need housing, and they're being turned into a religious building. And housing's at a premium in Oldham. There's Pakistani families that need houses. There's Bangladeshi families that need houses. White families that need houses. There's West Indian families, ethnic families who need houses. Polish families, Romanian. Everyone needs housing. So why are they turning housing into? I don't think there's any Catholics that have took over housing and made them into some Catholic church. I don't think that happens. I think they go in a church more or a building built like that. And I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this in Oldham. I really am. And we wonder why that divide is in Oldham, because most of the people see this and they want to say something, but they won't because they're afraid of being branded or being called a politically correct saying. Well, you know what? The national NHP UK, we're not like that. We're going to say these things. You can brand me whatever you want, but I'm only telling you facts and honest opinion on the failures of what our council and how they relate, and the perfect way of intertwining communities is just putting a divide in that divides them even further. And honestly, I just can't believe it. That they're turning two lovely houses into, let me just get the houses up. That's the houses there, you can see them. So there's a religious building already, which is big. Then there's them two houses next door being turned in, and they're all gonna, it's just a joke. It really is. So I've got to do some work on that, and I'll tell you more about that. So that's just a couple of things I want to show you about housing and why we need to change the way our communities interact and how we work with the communities. And it does. If you said to me, it seems really one-sided, John, and that certain sections of the community get more than others, I am going to 100% agree with you. Give you another 10 reasons why, but I will 100% agree on that reason. And let's go back to the 90s. My dad was on the National Lotteries Funding Commission for a couple of years, and his eyesight was failing at that time. So my regular week was I'd work all week, might not see me mum or dad. Then on a Saturday, I'd go up and sit with my dad and go through the papers. So I did this for a few years on and off. My sister's done it and stuff like that. Now, my dad liked to have a bet, like the bookies. So we do a couple of bets, only a few quid. You know, he didn't throw hundreds of pounds on it, just a few quid on a five, on a roll or whatever. And we do the bets. And I go through some proposals to do with the National Lotteries Funding Commission on they want to fund something in Oldham. It could be the building of a tennis court or a skate park or a park with slides on it. This is what the National Lotteries Funding Commission did. So my dad was on the committee, so he went through all the paperwork. And honestly, at the time, I did do a tally of which section of the community was getting more from the National Lotteries Funding Commission, all right? And this was about maybe 92, 93 when this was going on, that my dad were in. I'll check to find out the years my dad was on the National Lotteries Funding Commission, but I've seen all these proposals, and it was one-sided. Even my dad stated one time there's nothing, that they're focusing on certain sections of the community without helping other sections of the community. And what other evidence is that it was my dad and some other members of the community that went to the council to tell them about these things that they're doing, to tell them about how one-sided the council is and how they ignore other communities for the sake of one section of the community, right? And then I've explained this before, and this is all true. 6 or 7 years, 6 years later, we had the Oldham Bradford riots, which was blamed on all the things I've just said to you. So you know, what's up with our council is biased and certain sections of the community. And when anyone says anything, they're branded with politically correct words. Like, I don't like saying it that much, but racist, like Arut Shah, and a lot of the council members do. Now, they'll say it, but they won't say it directly or anything like that. They never tell you to your face. So it'll just come out through the media or something like that. And that's all they do, which just divides the communities up more and more. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And people fall for this. So if you're a Labour voter, you're listening to me, just listen to what I'm saying. If you're a white person, just listen to what I'm saying. If you're a Pakistani, just listen to what I'm saying. If you're a Bangladeshi, just listen to what I'm saying. If you're a Romanian or a Polish person, listen to what I'm saying. Because these things will never change until we change the politics and who runs our council. And Labour are no good at running Oldham Council. They're not. They've showed that for 50 goddamn years. They've showed that they're not fit enough to run the council. So, you know, I'm just showing you these things, me. I'm just showing you, like it's all factual stuff. Like I said, this is the leaflet from the St. Mary's ward guy. I'm not making anything up. That's what he says in all there. I've showed you where he's building the houses, and I've told you that section of where he's building the houses, on one side, you've got a big Pakistani community. Now, you know, who would our houses be prioritised for? As we know that the Oldham Council, the priority in housing is overcrowding and poverty. And the area where they're building them houses is one of the biggest poverty areas in the United Kingdom. So, you know, logically, guessing is that people in that area will be getting them houses, not somebody who might live in Durka, a young family coming up, you know, that two kids or 3 kids, they won't be getting that house. It'll more than likely go to people in that section of that community. And the selling houses, why do, you know, we do need to build council housing, we do. And I agree with the figure that's been on the news, 300,000. Although I would, if we don't reduce immigration, we're going to need 400,000 houses every how many years they're going to get. We need to really put our foot down, get protesting and get referendums and end immigration. Otherwise, we're going to always continue to build houses. So if a new council house gets built, no one can buy that property for 15 years, right? If a new council house gets built now, them council houses can be sold in just a couple of years. But the NHPUK will have a minimum 15, might be longer if we think it needs to be longer, 20 years or something. But them council houses won't be so easily sold off. And obviously, we don't want anyone but having a property here who doesn't live in the UK. Honestly, if you don't live in Oldham, you're not having a property here. But yeah, so there's loads of issues of housing in Oldham. No one will say nothing in the council. I haven't seen any independents talk about it. I haven't seen any Labour Party members. I haven't seen Pride of Oldham and Saddleworth. They have complained about the houses being built in Saddleworth, but none of them will talk about these things I'm talking about. I haven't seen any of them talk about that. The last people to talk about stuff like that was UKIP pre-referendum 2015 in Oldham. So nobody has talked about these issues since. They won't say it because they're afraid of upsetting certain sections of the community. Now, I might feel like I'm upsetting, but remember, this doesn't just affect one section of the community. This will affect every section of our community. We're giving out buildings for religious things when they're needed for other people. It's just going to affect everyone across Oldham. So, your independents and your other political parties and all that, you need to man up and start speaking, like, honestly. Don't be afraid. What they don't want you to, they want you to be afraid to speak honestly and factually. They want you to be afraid of doing that. And we're not having that. The NHPUK are not like that. And I have mostly all the time I have been active, I am like that. And I will say it as it is. But yeah, so 1941. Good evening, everyone. You're listening to John Walter on about housing in Oldham and issues we have and stuff like that. I was going to put my emails up. There's my email, john.lawrence at nationalhousingparty.uk. London, patrick.mcginnis at nationalhousingparty.uk. We need help. I'm not rich or anything. I'm not no rich guy. I don't have a job because I look after my mum. So we need money, we need help, and we need support. I'm hoping to run in election next year in Oldham. And I'm gonna organise a couple of like event days where we can get up to Oldham, go leafleting, knocking on doors and stuff like that. I'll start these off on Facebook and Twitter, and we'll see. Well, Facebook probably. I'll keep to Facebook and probably Telegram and private. And then I want people up knocking and delivering leaflets and talking to people. You'll easily be able to talk about all the issues that we have, housing and stuff like that. I'll have printed sheets out that you can look at yourself while you're walking around. Just the easy things to ask, questions to ask, and stuff like that. And that'll be throughout the year. I've got a year now. I had a month last time and I got 174 votes. Thank you to Peter Smith, by the way, in the chat, who was my election agent, came up, spent the evening with me on the Thursday right up to the count night when we went in. And thank you very much, Peter, for that donation. Arlene didn't get a notification. It binged up on Facebook and all that. It's about 3 notifications today about this. So yeah, and you know, at a time when we're short on housing, they're turning perfectly good tourist houses into religious buildings. And I just don't know what to say, mate. I really don't know what to say. It's not even, I mean, that's not even all of it. Let me just get a bit more. Let me just check something. Yeah, they're on my phone. I won't be a minute. I'm just going to transfer a couple of photos I've got here. I haven't finished yet on this housing thing and religious buildings. Let's get me wrong. And the Indians are getting it in a minute. So, yeah, you know, I just don't get it, me. They do these things so blindingly obvious. I mean, it says people went against building that thing. So I'll have to go up, knock on all the doors on that street, talk to them all, whoever they are. If a Pakistani man comes, said, did you want that building there or did you object? You know what I mean? That's what I'm going to ask them. And I'm guessing, this is a good educated guess that a lot of them did object. A lot of them did object, but they just weren't listened to. And it's a big Pakistani area, Clarksfield. So it must, the area where it is, it must have been Pakistani people who rejected to it being turned into a religious building. And they said because of traffic and stuff like that. And these buildings do come with all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but you know, I'll get there and I'll find out. That's what I'll do. I'll go there and I'll look myself and find out. But you know, we haven't finished yet. We're still on about housing in Oldham, in some of the worst poverty areas in the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's what we're going on. That is what we're going on. And it's an interesting story with this next one. It's a pretty interesting story. Where am I going to? So yeah, a crisis time like this, and these are the kind of things they're doing in my town. You just really couldn't make it up sometimes. You couldn't. So yeah, so the picture you see here.
Hello. Hi, John.
Hiya.
Hi, Pat. Hello.
1 minute, guys. 1 minute. Sorry about that, guys. Kira's here taking my mum to bed now. But yeah, so this is Copstrell Road, and that is an Indian religious building, Sikh or something like that, temple being built. Now, it used to be the yard for First Choice Homes. Oh, and if you're looking at that picture, to the right of that picture, there's a road, and then there used to be a mill. There used to be a mill, Neeld Mill, it was called, because I worked in it. So that's been knocked down, all that yard. Now that's houses. And this was where First Choice had one of the depots. Now, as far as I get, they got asked to leave it, and then they could come back and build houses on it. Instead, they built a religious temple. Now, again, this is in an area of, it's in the borderline, I think it's a Werneth area or the Medlock Vale area, which again is a high poverty area and high fertility. So there's loads of kids. They need housing. There's a lot of tourist houses in that area that just aren't good enough. Where the right side of that picture is, the right-hand side, if you sort of like you go down, there's a row of houses that don't really have a front garden. It's right onto the main road. They don't really have a back garden. So they're not good for families. And this is in the highest fertility area in Oldham, and they're building a religious Indian temple. Again, the NHPUK would be against any kind of religious building. and we would support Christianity with hundreds of churches, half abandoned across the country, if not thousands of church. If we can't ban the building, if we can't, well, we want to ban all religious buildings, right? We don't want any more of this. So I've just shown you 3 incidents now where they're just playing against the rules of pandering to the religious section of the community to get a temple built in an area that needs housing. This is just Oldham Council. But again, nobody, not none of the independents, nobody since UKIP pre-referendum 2015 has said anything about this. And you might think it's the right thing to do, but it isn't. You're indoctrinated, obviously, not to say these things because you know that the effect will be that you'll be cancelled or you'll be called a name like our council loves to call people names and all that lot. They won't come with you with facts and figures. They'll just call you behind your back and stuff like that. That's our council. There's no facts and figures in it. If I had to have debate with any member of parliament or any councillor in Oldham, I would win because I'd show them the facts and the evidence. That's what all they would do. But oh well, we've got to help these people, or we have to do this, or they don't show facts. They don't show facts, and they don't show honest opinion and stuff like that. They think they talk for the majority of Oldhamers, but they don't. But I tell you what, Oldham's sick of this politically correct label that's been with Oldham for 50 goddamn years. Oldhamers are sick of it. And that's what's going to bring our council down. But this is John Lawrence, NHPUK TV, live on a Thursday. I'm just going to say that we're going to be starting up a regular stint and we're going to have our main man, Paul Rimmer, on. We're going to have main man, Paul Rimmer. Scouser Paul Rimmer. We're going to have him on. What we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about obvious various things, national things and stuff like that. But there is a couple of other things that I'm going to bring up. We'll be talking about history. I want to be talking about the 1999 race riots we had around England. Specifically, I want to be talking about Charles Wootton from Liverpool, a black Jamaican sailor from Liverpool. I'll be talking about him, and I'll be talking about, with Paul, how our history is being rewritten, our history is being dumbed down, and our history is being forgotten. It's one of the things I want to talk with Paul with. But obviously, Paul's in elections, Paul's run for mayor of Liverpool a couple of times. So he's not somebody who hasn't had that kind of experience or anything like that. He has. He's had the ultimate of experience, and I'm hoping that over the next few weeks of our weekly show, we think it's going to be around Sunday 2 p.m. but our weekly show, then our weekly show, be on our weekly show, and I'm sure I will learn a few things off Paul over the next few weeks. Pat's in the chat there. Yes, Pat. Dave 101, how are you, mate? How are you? Yeah, I have summertime, Sue. I have. So yeah, so this is what we're faced in Oldham. This is what we're faced with, pandering to a religious section of our community to have temples built in high poverty, high fertility areas where they need housing, and across Oldham. And again, there's 100 different reasons why we need housing, and I've shown you a few of them. And the biggest one is you can't see this. And when Pat comes to Oldham, I will show him these houses I'm talking about where you don't have any front garden and you have got a tiny little back garden. I'll show him rows and rows of these houses. It's what he'll see, rows and rows of them, and he'll be wondering, he'll be thinking that all the town is like that. It isn't, but he'll be thinking all the town is like that. But I will show him these roads and these houses, and these aren't an area your kids have to stay in. They don't get no freedom or anything like that. They don't have a little garden to play in. Yeah, don't have any garden or anything to play in. So it's just a joke, honestly. This is Oldham all the time. It's Oldham all the time. I'm not happy with them religious schools. I've shown you schools that fail, and I'll be keeping an eye on this one in Coldest. And if that starts to dip in its failures, I'm going to be in absolute uproar with the council about it. So, yeah, not yet. Not yet. So thank you for tuning in. I've done my hour near enough. I went out tonight just at tea time, 5 o'clock, to where I showed you the Mumps train station. It's less than 10 minutes walk down the road. I went down there and took a few photos and then come back. It's quite close and it's easily accessible. But we'll look at that area. When the houses are built, we'll look at it in a couple of years and we'll see what they've done in that area. I won't forget about it or anything. I'll have a look at that temple when that's built. And like I said, I'll look at some of these other areas. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Again, if you want to get in contact with us, there's our emails on the ticker, john.lawrence at nationalisingparty.uk and patrick.mcginnis at nationalisingparty.uk. We need help. We need help with a lot of things, websites, some art design and stuff like that. Hopefully we'll get people to give us a lift with that. But it's going to be a big year of campaigning for me. We're going to do, I'll do another video. We're going to do another live stream with Pat, and we'll go a bit more detail into Pat's campaign he had in London. He had everyone talking. He made the papers, and this is just off mainly his leaflet and the fact that he was running. So that's really good exposure for us. And obviously we made the Hope Not Hate report. So that's good exposure. Even though they put us in, we're in there, they try and make out a bad light, but we're in there, so, and I'm happy that if they do stuff like that, because people will see it. But yeah, so thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you next Thursday, and hopefully I will see you Sunday around 2 p.m. I will put a link out beforehand. Me and Paul. It's going to be a bit of a regular thing. But I just want to jot a few things down that I want to talk about. And like I said, I want to talk about our history being erased. You've heard me go on about Mary Seacole. I've talked about Florence Nightingale, Charles Wotton, I have mentioned before. And David Ogle-Lawson is author of Black and British, and he's the one who leaves out really important information out of historical events, and people are reading it, getting a one-sided picture. And there was an advert on YouTube, and it was about Black and British, and you should see how angry the kids are, but they're not even being told the full history. That's it. That they're being kept out of some of the history, not being told the full history. So no wonder they're angry. But yeah, there's a few things we'll be talking about. But thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Sue. Thanks for that info, Sue. Thank you very much. We just had Summertime Sue in the chat who lives near where they're building the 200 houses in Saddleworth. You heard it off her voice, the person herself saying about the roads, about the traffic when it's school time and stuff like that. But they're going to have to build these houses because we have that much immigration coming through. I don't see any of the I do see some of the Saddleworth, Sue, for a start, but I don't see any of the top people in Saddleworth moaning about the dinghy divers. I don't see them moaning about Kosovans or anything, or the Romanians or Eastern Europeans. So you're going to have them 200 houses built, unfortunately, guys. But yeah, thank you very much and good night.